Hi, it's Shelly Summers. This is my entry into the Pwnage Olympics. Now the video is going to be on CSE Ministries' newest video, Our Creation is Scientific. Now before I get started, I'd like to give a special thanks and shout out to Andromeda's Wake. You will be able to find a link to his channel over on the left hand side. Now I'm not pulling Andromeda's Wake. He's a lot smarter than me, plus, you know, this video really inspired me. So, without further ado, let's get started. Unfortunately, I do not know how to download and be able to cut and paste this onto my Windows Movie Maker because I got a crappy version of it, so you're just gonna have to listen to it.
Creation Science Evangelism presents Creation in Common Sense with Eric Hovind.
Welcome to Creation in Common Sense. I'm your host, Eric Hovind. Hey, are us creationists just anti-science people? A lot of evolutionists claim that.
Now, the problem is that creationism was actually, in its most modern form, was created in 1929 by us Americans. Don't blame me. I wasn't there. And fundies are my personal little guilty pleasure. So, in continuing...
But did you know every major branch of science was founded by a creationist? Joining me to talk about this are two guys from our creation research team at Creation Science Evangelism, Jonathan Sampson and Joshua
Sounds like
Jocelyn.
an oxymoron,
All right, so Josh, are all
sure
real
there's some
scientists
smart people
evolutionists?
Oh, of course not. We have Johann Kepler, for instance. Ever heard of him?
Yes.
This is the founder of modern astronomy. He discovered the laws of planetary motion. He helped develop calculus. He verified heliocentricity, which is the idea that the sun is the center of the solar system.
Now, if you look at the Bible, it says the Earth is the center of the universe, which goes more towards the geocentric model of the universe, which was around 1300 years before the heliocentric model of the universe. But continuing.
Other than the Earth, exactly. So this is a very prominent scientist. But he also said God is the kind creator who brought forth nature out of nothing.
Oh, one thing I would like to mention about pretty much everybody in this video that's mentioned, except for Louis Pasteur, is that they were all pretty much in the 15th and 1600s. And back then, they did not actually have access to any other general working theory of how the universe was created, other than a creationist viewpoint, a Christian viewpoint. And a lot of these people, Kepler, Boyle, who they'll mention, Isaac Newton, Louis Pasteur, none of these people, when they were coming up with their theories, did not actually have access to a little thing you might have heard of. It's called the Big Bang. And you might hear in many creationist videos where they talk down about the Big Bang. But the amazing thing is it was created by George Lemaitre? Yeah, no, I just donkey raped his name, but it doesn't change the simple fact that he was actually a padre. And another thing I'd like to point out is that all the people that they mention here, they all graduated from Catholic colleges. And if I remember right, they all graduate from Catholic colleges or some kind of religious college. So obviously, if they're going to be a big name in a religious institution, they are, of course, going to be religious, but that doesn't detract from their intelligence or the contributions that they made to modern science. And in some ways, modern society, because as science advances, so does in society. But if science was to just go by the way intelligent designers do things, the scientific model would just go right out the window, which is just kind of lunacy. So to get off my soapbox for a minute, I'm going to let you listen to these idiots talk.
This is a very prominent scientist here who helped found astronomy.
Back in the 1600s.
He also believed that God created the world about 7,000 years ago.
Wow, so incredibly smart, real scientist, and a creationist.
And 300 years before the Big Bang.
Creationist.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have him to thank for calculus.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was another guy, Robert Boyle, who, of course, kind of permeated the school classes there. Robert Boyle is the father of modern chemistry. When he was younger, he was able to go and meet Galileo, an elderly Galileo, who worked kind of in the same area.
Oh, and he got to go see him.
And Robert Boyle was actually the skeptic of his time, ironically enough. As a Christian, he wrote a book called The Skeptical Chemist, which he kind of refuted the idea that everything was just earth, wind, fire, and water. The four-element idea that even Aristotle popularized. Now, at 18, he started the Philosophical School of London, and then one of the main things that he's known for today is writing about his faith in God and his passion for God's written word.
Unbelievable. And he also developed, I believe, Boyle's Law.
If you guys hadn't noticed, they're only taking people back from the 1600s. That's just, And one name that they actually mention is Louis Pasteur, and they bring him up, but the funny thing is they say that he was a creationist. He's a creationist in the sense that he said that he was Catholic, but you also got to remember they actually didn't attend Mass, didn't do anything actually religious other than say that he was Catholic. That may work in today's modern society if you're a politician to go to Sunday Mass, but that doesn't really work anywhere else. So why would you accept stupid answers like this? And it's because they don't actually... You know what? I'm done with their video. The link for them will be over there. I'll put them above Andromeda Wakes, but in reality, they're not even on my boys. They ain't even on the bottom of his shoes level. So, in closing, being religious does not make you a creationist. Being religious and working through modern science to understand God does not make you a creationist. It makes you a smart person that just happens to have some faith. And those two are not mutually exclusive. Or they're not coherently bonded to each other. Well, what all of that is saying is that you have faith in something beyond you, and you try to use modern science to answer it. And to those that say that use the God of the Gaps argument, which the Hovens often do, is that modern science, if you went back 100 years and tried to explain a cell phone to somebody, it wouldn't work. So, in closing, thank you Andromeda's Wake. Thank you Coughlin for the Pwnage Olympics, although I guess I didn't quite cuss enough to register on the radar, but yeah. And thank you everybody for listening to me ramble for 8 minutes. Stay safe, stay frosty. Peace.